How's it going, guys? Mike from Diamondback Shooting Sports here for another dry fire video. So another one of the low-hanging fruit, something people ask a lot of questions about, and I think really should be practiced in dry fire. It's less important on the range, but you can really kind of hammer away at the skill in dry fire, and that is reloads. So I'm not going to talk about different types of reload, speed reload, tactical reload, all of that different stuff. Mostly I'm going to be talking about how do you build a really effective and efficient reload process. Whether it's a slide lock reload or a speed reload, or even a tactical reload if you want, most of this process can be replicated or applied to any of those different ones. It's really just about how you break it down and turn it into something that you can train and build consistency with. So what we're going to be focused around for our reload is a way of doing a reload called the briquette reload. The briquette reload is essentially breaking down the reload into two main component parts, which is everything that happens from the shot going off to you getting the mag in your hand and having the mag up at where it goes into the grip, so that you can be ready to, on the second half, insert that magazine, regrip, and present to the target. So why is that really important that it's broken down that way? Well, going into the magwell, whether or not you've got a flared magwell or just a stock magwell, that is that critical failure point, and it is where the majority of people will miss or just spend extra time that they don't need to spend ensuring that they don't miss. So as we build up this process, we're going to kind of break down each of those two things, and then we're going to build those up, and then we're going to do the full process towards the end. So starting off, as per usual, I've got snap caps in my magazines, and then my gun is completely cleared out. So starting off with the reload in kind of breaking it down from the shot going off. So once that shot goes off and either I feel the gun lock open, or I just know that the gun is at a point where I need to do the reload with the slide forwards. I'm going to be doing the majority of this with the slide forwards, but I'll talk about when we do have the slide locked open what you'll need to do differently. But when the slide is forward and I know that reload needs to happen immediately, a couple things are going to be happening. Now, I'm not going to have the magazine that's going to be in the gun to start. I'm just going to leave it out, but I am going to be bringing my finger to that mag release. So the first thing that I need to do as soon as that shot goes off is I need to stop kind of focusing on the shooting side of things and transition that focus onto the reload by immediately breaking my grip and breaking my support hand away to my magazine. And this is often described as like having that you've got like a bungee cord slapping, bringing your hand back to hit that magazine. So if I'm thinking about that, the first thing that I need to do is get contact on that magazine. And then I also need to start to prepare to hit the mag release. I'm not necessarily going to hit the magazine release immediately because the goal is not to get the mag out of the gun. Right now, the goal is to get my hand on the magazine. What I've also done is I've also started to bring the gun in a little bit. I'm not dropping the gun down low because that creates a lot of excessive, unnecessary movement, but I am bringing the gun in so it's a little bit closer and rotating it towards where my other magazine is coming from as my thumb is finding its place on the mag release. Then once I have my hand on the mag that's in the pouch, as I remove the magazine from the pouch, I'm going to be hitting on that magazine release and then watching where the magazine falls from to bring my magazine up to insert it into the gun. Now, what I'm looking for with my hand on the magazine is I want to kind of define where the center of the magazine needs to be in my hand so that I can have my index finger roughly equal with the tip of the first round, and then my thumb and middle finger just kind of close around the magazine. Even with just those two fingers, the thumb and the middle finger, I can have complete control over this magazine, but it's really important that I have that index finger running along the spine of the magazine right up to that first round so that it can help me guide that round into the grip. And then as soon as I see that first round start to disappear into the grip, this is where I'm going to stop that first half of the briquette. So if I get to that point really nice and consistently, from there, all I need to do is complete the rest of the reload. And that includes inserting the magazine firmly, making sure that the magazine seats in place. And then as I am coming back up, rebuilding my grip as I come up onto target. So a couple things to be paying attention to is when I'm doing the reload, I should be watching where that magazine comes from and then watching that first round start to disappear into the magwell. But then as soon as that first round starts to disappear into the magwell, as I'm completing my reload, my eyes are going from the magwell back up to wherever my eyes are supposed to be for the next target. So as soon as the visual reference of I see that first round disappear into the magwell, then I am immediately transitioning my eyes back up to where they need to go and completing the rest of the process. So at that point, really the big thing that I need to be focused on is once the magazine is inserted firmly, making sure that it is fully in place, then I need to really confirm that I'm rebuilding my grip correctly and finding the appropriate sight picture for the target that I'm shooting. So starting off doing the briquette, I'm going to do that first series, that first half. We're not even going to start with a timer. We're just going to go through that a couple times. Then we're going to introduce the timer. Then we're going to introduce the par time. From there, we'll build up the second half as well. To start off with this one, if you're going to be using a part-time, I recommend starting at about 0.8 seconds or so. If this is still really new for you and you need more time than that, then just set something that's reasonable for you that you can continue to work down. But again, we're just going to start on our own without the timer. So I'm aimed in. As soon as my brain gives me that go signal, I'm going to take my support hand off of the gun, bring my thumb to that mag release. As soon as I feel the magazine in my hand, I'm going to start to press on the magazine release and bring that magazine up to where the other magazine is going to fall from. And up. Okay. So pretty consistent, a little bit far forwards, but the hand came up right to where I wanted it to be, and from that I could have had a pretty consistent reload. Maybe a little bit of a touch off the front as I kind of push into the magwell. So pretty consistent. Let's go through that process again, and up. Okay, looking pretty good so far. Up. So landing right there to me would mean as long as I complete the rest of the process, inserting the magazine fully and coming back up onto sights, I'm going to have pretty consistent reloads. So now we're just going to introduce the timer. So it's just going to be the buzzer on a delay. I'm going to turn off the par time for now. All right, so buzzer on a delay. Remember, we're just going to be focused on seeing that magwell, seeing that finger point to that magwell, and then once we see that, we're just gonna pause. All right, here we go. Shooter ready, stand by. Okay, nice and consistent, and again. Ooh, a little bit off to the side there. So what I felt was the magazine was pointed slightly down, and that to me is because the magazine is not firmly in the center of my hand. If I center it a little bit more, that brings that magazine right in alignment, which probably would have allowed me to get that load the way that I want it to. So when we see that type of stuff happening, if it happens consistently, we want to try and have a moment where we remediate that, where we just focus on where our hand is supposed to be each time and rep that out so we can be nice and consistent. All right, one more. Stand by. Okay, now we're gonna add the timer, the par time. This will be a 0.8 par time. Realistically, I think this is one that you can bring lower, but 0.8 is a good place to start from. It's one that I actually start from more often when I'm going from concealment. But this is totally reasonable here to start at that 0.8. So, same thing again, we're just gonna be paying attention to, are we getting that magazine right up to the magwell consistently before or by the time that second buzzer goes off. All right, so same thing again here. Shooter ready, stand by. Okay, a little high on that one. I feel like I was kind of turning the gun a little bit more. I kind of dropped it down and turned it up instead of just kind of letting it float and then find that spot. Again, stand by. Perfect, plenty of time there. And again, stand by. Little bit low. Similar issue with the mag, not quite in the center of the hand. So the urgency to get onto the magazine means that I'm hitting it kind of sideways, and then when the magazine comes up, it's canted in my hand. So that obviously won't do. I need to hit nice and firm in the center so that it's running right along that index finger. All right, stand by. Not bad, a little bit of a weak pinch here, and you can see it's not quite pushed into the center of my hand, so it felt a little floppy, but came up, went in, that's all we need. Here we go. Shooter ready, stand by. Okay, so that one, I still was in the time, but I had a little bit of a bump and then going in. So this would be one, I mean, I do a lot of reloads. For me now where I'm at, I don't tend to break this one down as much. But when I really need to and I have an issue where I'm not getting the reload consistently, this is what I will do to resolve that. So second half, I'm gonna go ahead and start with the par time on this one, and we're gonna set that par time to 0.6. So if you're counting here, 0.8 and 0.4, 0.8 and 0.6 means that I would be up to a 1.4 second reload. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys would say, I would be pretty happy with a 1.4 second reload. Most people would. If you can be pretty consistent with that, well then you don't really need to worry about building up much more beyond that. You could be still very, very competitive with a consistent sub 1.5 second reload. Now, obviously you can shave more time on reloads, but if you're talking about like USPSA, the likelihood is, unless you're shooting single stack or production, you are only going to be doing one reload per stage, and it's going to be during movement. So realistically, this is one that you want to be very consistent on. You don't want to screw it up. But after you get really consistent on it, there are other things to focus on. So let's do that second half here, and that's going to be from this position, okay? So starting off, I am where I finished for the last one and just going to insert the magazine and come up onto sights nice and consistently. We'll just start on the up command as I was before, and up, and up, and up. Oh, that didn't work quite right. So what happened there? As I was pushing in, I started to leave a little bit too early. The magazine got kind of stuck and my hand slipped off and went forwards. So I can't complete the process if I don't do everything in the process. If I were to do that and then come back up with that magazine half like that, well then as soon as I fire my first round, magazine is likely to fall out and I'm really kind of shit out of luck at that point. So now to add in the timer, so we'll have that 0.6 par time, and shooter ready, stand by. Okay. This one is, I think, by far the easier part, but the big thing that you need to do, regardless of how quick you are at the reload, is go very aggressively from your eyes on the mag well to your eyes on the target. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how quickly you do this. All right, here we go. Shooter ready, stand by. Okay, landed a little left of the target that I was looking for. Here we go. Shooter ready, stand by. There we go. Shooter ready, stand by. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty consistent within that 1.6 seconds, 0.6 seconds total for the 1.4. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna turn that into a 1.5 second part time. And we're gonna see if we can do a really nice and consistent reload in 1.5 seconds. I know I had said this earlier, if we are doing anything where we're starting with that slide lock to the rear, all we need to do is add in hitting the mag or the slide stop as we are fully inserting the magazine, coming back up to sights, we would be hitting on that slide stop. But now that we've broken it down, we can put it together and really figure out, well, can we do this in 1.5 seconds? My answer is, heck yeah, we can, because the two bits and pieces really, as long as they're consistent, we don't necessarily need to go fast. We just need to put the two parts together. So let's see what that looks like. Here we go. Shooter ready, stand by. Consistent, remember what I talked about? That was not consistent. When that came up, it came up slightly like this. So I didn't actually have that support, and then I hit on the edge of that magazine well. Here we go. Shooter ready, stand by. Yeah, felt like I had plenty of time there. All right, here we go. Same thing again. Shooter ready, stand by. Oh. So that one, I dropped the elbow a little bit more. So when I turned the gun, it actually turned. So instead of just turning the gun sideways, what I had done was I had kind of canted the gun up and out. So if you look at this, if I were to come up here, those angles don't even line up, right? So I need to be very controlled about how much I turn that, and I don't want to drop the gun too much. I want to turn the gun so it's just enough to be able to receive that. All right, here we go. Shooter ready, stand by. Plenty of time. Same thing again. Stand by. Ooh. All right. Little bit of more of a pause. A little bit more of a pause. Here we go. Shooter ready. Stand by. Beautiful. Now, we're going to add in the other magazine. The only thing that sucks about this is when we drop the magazine, it's got to land somewhere. So a lot of times I'll throw in a chair, something that I can drop it into, a basket of laundry, any of those different things, or put something down on the ground here. I'm actually going to steal one of these chairs real quick, see if that'll work okay. And hopefully we'll just be able to drop it straight into this chair. So let's see if that works. Bring it a little closer just in case. And we will go for that 1.5 second reload with the magazine falling out of the gun. Here we go. Shooter ready, stand by. God, I love when that works. So what you probably saw was it looked like there was a moment where there was almost like two mags in the gun, because one mag was coming out, the other one was going in, and we were coming back up onto sights like nothing had happened. That is by far the best way this can go. So that of course means that the next couple runs are gonna be a little bit wonky, but that's what we're looking for. So let's see if we can do that again. Nice and consistent. Shooter ready, stand by. I got a little ahead of myself. Got a little too early on that mag release. Let's do that again. Stand by. Oh, almost there. Almost there. Let's be consistent. Stand by. That was it. That's what we're looking for. Let's do that again. Stand by. Ooh, ah, ha, 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 ha. So slamming into the back of the mag well there, it's not gonna do it. This is why dry fire, this is where you need to do this. Because doing this on the range while you're trying to be shooting just sucks. Here we go, stand by. Ooh. I was a little concerned on that one. I kind of barely slid up the side of it. I felt a little click, but it was so close that it made me think about it. And once I start thinking about stuff, bad things happen. Here we go. Shooter ready? Stand by. That was it. All right, well, mag fell on the ground, so we're gonna call that the last one here. So again, briquette reload, really good way for us to break down those reloads into those big two halves where that failure point is. What you had seen there is it doesn't take a lot to do a quick reload, but it takes consistency. And this is something that is the whole reason why we do dry fire. To be able to do that consistently without thinking about it means that your brain can be on the other things that you need to be doing, which most of the time is, you know, thinking about the target arrangement, your stage plan, being able to do your movement side of things. You don't want to be thinking about, okay, now that I'm going from this position to that one, I have to do a reload, so I have to look at the magazine, I have to go through all this process. You don't want to be thinking about that. You want to have your head in the game. So hope you guys are keeping up on the dry fire. Hope this is helpful for you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and we'll see you for the next one.